Sunday morning. Glutes and quads. Bit of a different session for a bloke. Not normal at all, but it's the way I've been programmed. It seems to work well. Anyway, first exercise is abductor, which is this part of your body, muscle which abducts the hip. So working glutes here, plenty of guys don't work enough glute and they wonder why on show day they have no fucking glutes and hams. Definitely making it a priority in my training, as it should be in anybody's. It's going to be one of those today where I just run through a few things and show how I get them glute striations. So, first thing here is as a drop set on here. So we're going to do 1 set, tempo pause, so 2-second hold in the contraction and then come back down. And then immediately drop set into normal tempo. Keeping the weight the same and just move into that quicker tempo just to bash out the reps. It would be a mechanical drop set at that point. Let's get going. Whoosh. Come on. Oh, we see a lot of people do on this movement. They lean forward. Why are you leaning forward? What you're going to do, you're going to get more stretch across the abductor on this movement. Well, it's purely contractionary based, isn't it? You're limited by how much you can actually move your leg. So why are you trying to lean forward in order to get a stretch, which this movement isn't intended for? It's all about the contraction. Use the movements for what they're intended for, rather than just like watching somebody on Instagram do something and think that's the right way to do it. Use your brain a little bit, because just going in and being like, oh, well, someone with a big ass was leaning forward and therefore that must be the right thing to do. Sometimes you got to think and go, hang on a minute, why the fuck are you doing that? So it's always best to sort of have an idea of what you're actually supposed to be doing with your training. So anyway, don't lean forward on this, because when you're leaning forward, you can't get a good contraction on the glute, whereas we want the hips to be slightly forward so that when we are back in that contracted position, we are pushing the glutes through. It's a bit like back movements. Whenever you're trying to hit your lats, you're opening your chest out and pushing that through so you can tense your lats, bring that down. Same thing with the glute, we're up so we can get everything contracted at the top, rather than if we're hunched forward, it's like barely any contraction you can get doing your Quasimodo, versus sit tall, chest up, and you can contract that glute properly. Anyway, next set. Yeah, proper drop set this time, so I'll actually drop the weight. Oh! 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 Jesus! Right, we're done there. Woo! Oh, okay, movement 2. Glute drive. It's like a fucking roller coaster, this machine. As you can see. With this, again, it's another contraction movement for the glute. We're not going to get a big range of motion on this. All we want to do is just scoot the glutes underneath us. And the sensation to imagine is when you are getting into a back shot and you've set your feet and you need to then tense your glutes and hamstrings, and you're literally just tucking the glutes and hamstrings like this. Exact fucking same thing there. The intention of the machine is just to contract the glutes. I'm not trying to get a big squeeze here. Sorry, a big stretch. A big stretch would be on stuff like squat patterns and leg press patterns. That's where we're gonna get a really big, deep, heavy stretch on this. This machine is not intended to be heavy in the bottom, because if it's heavy in the bottom, all that's gonna do is encourage your abs to go loose. You get an arch in your lower back and you end up transferring a hell of a lot of pressure onto your lower back, which you obviously don't want, because that would be very painful. Again, this is a movement blokes just don't do, and people that do this just put shitloads of weight on the machine. And granted, if you can handle the weight very well, with really, really good form, then fucking crack on, you know, with a massive set of glutes. But like, throwing big weight around and just fucking pushing through your knees and all that sort of shit and actually not really contracting the glute or not really challenging the glute that much, you'll know if you're not challenging the glute that much. It's the same for any exercise where you know you just sling your weight around, you can't really feel the muscle. Same for anything. Just because you can lift a lot of weight on a movement doesn't necessarily mean you should. First set was 6 to 9 with a 2-second ISO hold at the top for each rep. Oh yeah, the next one is 15 reps with a 10-second hold at the end. So we'll drop that down. It's all about the booty this session. It's funny with Panatta machines. A lot of people have some interesting opinions about Panatta machines, but the prevailing one is that they're over-engineered. Just think they might be right. Looking a little bit too wacky, isn't it? Shall we crack on with set number 2? Okay. Woo! Ay, ay, ay. Pain. Last set, triple drop set. 10 reps to begin with. Drop 1 plate, go for 5. Drop another plate, go for 5. Same again. By that third set, on that third one, I really want to be struggling to get 5 reps so that I know for that next one, I need to make a bigger drop. If I only get 5 reps on the next one, then perfect. You know, like if I'm failing sooner whilst keeping really, really good form, that's good. And what we want to do is we obviously just want to progress those over time. So like we still want to be failing on that 10. So that weight will probably increase over the coming weeks, very slowly. And then the preceding ones, we want to increase those reps across those intensifier sets, across those drop sets. And it's going to increase our overall training volume, make us bigger. Basically, you're just spending more time during that period where you are close to failure or at failure. So it is essentially just pushing the set beyond where you could do. Because if you're only getting to 10, you're failing at 10. Okay, cool, you can still drop the weight and get more out reasonably. You can still challenge that muscle further. So why don't you? You know, that doesn't mean we need to do that every single set because CNS fatigue and fatigue during the workout. Like realistically, you could go into a session, do 1 set per exercise, which is completely full of intensifiers, come away from that session and be done in an hour. But are you accumulating enough training volume? Are you addressing a number of different training modalities? Are you getting physically stronger? If you're just doing that and just flushing the blood with muscle, sorry, the muscle with blood, then you're missing another component of which is purely progressive overload. Those first 2 sets, there was a lot of tension work. This one is still going to be good form, but we're definitely looking to increase the blood flow and just burn the body part out. And I know like the whole like sort of finisher set or whatever is sort of seen as a bit like old school and a bit broy. It fucking works. So like, why would we just? Oh, well, it's not written down in a bloody science book. So, you know, I'm pretty nerdy, but like, leave the fucking nerds with what they're doing. You know, a lot of this stuff has been figured out already. Okay, you don't need to have a study for stuff that was figured out 50 years ago. So you don't need a scientific paper to back everything up, which people need to remember these days. Optimality, bro, is like, yeah, you can still be optimal without having somebody written a fucking academic article about it, which you're already going to read the abstract of anyway. You're not going to read the methodology or why they've chosen certain people or the subjects they've used within it, or, you know, what the thing's actually measuring. You just want the little sentence that you can take away and market to other people. So yeah, doesn't piss me off at all. Right, let's crack on. Come on. Hi. Fuck. Oh. Adductor. Now, It's only one set, which is supposed to be a muscle round. So the whole point of this is to just flush a bit of blood into this area for stabilization before we then go on to leg extensions and then on to belt squat. However, I don't really like muscle round too much for this movement. I would much rather get to failure and stay closer rather than building into it on a movement like this, especially as I've got to get in and out of the machine. So I would much rather rest, pause, and drop set until we've reached a point of failure. Seriously, I'll do the one rest pause and then probably do a drop. And then we'll get into some holds and that sort of stuff. Because the whole intention of the thing is to just flush blood into this area, you're not necessarily going to look to get stronger across the muscle around it. I think there's more effective tools for this movement to really get in the adductors and whack some blood in there before we then move on to other stuff. So I sort of want to be crippled before I go on to the other exercises. So in terms of this as well, we don't want to start too wide. You see a lot of people try and get a super massive stretch on this movement, and you can do it, but it takes you out of that active range and puts a lot of stress across the hips, which we don't necessarily want. We just want to work the adductor. We don't want to be like, oh my God, my fucking balls feel like they're about to split apart. Let's crack on with this. Toes turn slightly outwards on this one as well. Rest pause, 20 seconds. Come on. No. Right, drop. Oh. 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 Fine. Fuck. Oh. 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 Right. Straight set, rest pause, drop set, into 5 partials from the top, from middle to top, 5 partials from the bottom to the middle, and then 10-second hold on top, 10-second negative, hold as long as you can in the stretch. Big old intensifier set. Leg extensions. We're doing these before any squat pattern, anything like that, in order to just get a load of blood in the quads, blood in the knees, make sure everything's nice and warm pre-exhaust so I can't use as much weight on the belt squat, which is only ever a good thing. People who are like, oh, you have to smash heavy weight on compounds. Your body don't know it's heavyweight. You're going to be more blood in that muscle. It's going to be safer to use just from the fact that it's warmer. You know, you're already pretty tired. You're not going to be able to use as heavy as weight as you would if you were fresh. Now, is that necessarily a good or a bad thing? Me personally, I would much rather be warmer and have a lower risk of injury and be able to feel the muscle a lot better than just going in being like, I'm just going to start squatting. But some people like doing that. Some people warm up well with squat. It's person dependent. I have wanky knees, so I'm not going to want to start on a squat pattern. I'm going to want to warm everything up nicely first, so that's just me. First set here is supposed to be a 10 to 12. I usually end up going a bit higher than that just because of said wanky knees. And then in terms of the actual tempo itself, it is a 2-second pause in the contraction, which is just an extended pause basically. Don't be there like trying to count 1, 2, just go for an extended contraction, okay? Slow, controlled tempo, proper tempo basically. Feet towards the wall opposite, not the ceiling. The wall opposite, and that's what's going to give you that contraction because of the way the machine arcs. We also want to be really pulling ourselves into the hip sit down here so we get a nice big stretch on the bottom, and we also get a big contraction top. Because if it's just going to be my knees and my hips staying up here, we're really only going to end up in the teardrop here. Whereas if I've got my hips proper sank down, I'm going to get more up here as well, which we want to find the entirety of the quad. We don't just want teardrops. First set, let's get on with it. Meaty quads. Yeah. Come on. This set's going to be more pump work.
first part of it is 15 reps, 10-second rest, and then another aim for 15 reps. If we don't get it, we don't get it. It's not the end of the world. At the same weight, so it wouldn't drop. I'll just keep it the same. And then from there, it's into a 10-second hold, and then a 10-second negative, and then a 20-second stretch. So you end up with a lot of blood in the quads by the end of this, but that's the whole point. We're just absolutely melting these quads, essentially. Ooh. 13. Okay. Come on. Okay. Jesus. Wowee. Reckon that might have worked. Fuck me. Intensifiers. They do the work. They do the job. I can barely even talk. Belt squat. Still basically a squat, we're just taking the bar off my back and put it on my hips instead. I'm still going to be looking to sit back into the movement and still get a lot of glute going on as well as quad, but you're really going to get a big old quad stretch on this, so it's a very, very good movement. First set is very nice control tempo, 8 to 10. Right, I've just watched that set back and my heels are lifting quite a lot in those first 2 reps. So I think I need to slightly adjust where this is going so that my heels don't get pulled forward and just stay a bit more upright. So I'm thinking shifting it that way will make the difference. So I'm gonna give that a crack. So we'll go 1 further forward. Fucking hell. Okay, that's it. Push back into it, not lean forward. Fucking hell. Woo! Widowmaker set. Now, you might not have heard of that. So we're going to choose a weight that we know we can get 12 for, which I just did. And we're going to try and get 18 reps with it. So we're going to rest pause until we hit 18. So as many rest pauses as that takes until we get there. It's a fun one. Let's crack on, shall we? Two, three. Done. All right. This will look weird as fuck, but this is a Nordic curl. Basically a reverse lying leg curl. Trying to keep the back as flat as I can the whole time. I don't want to end up like with an arched bum, because that'll take the tension off the glutes, off the hams even. It's 90 kilos. It's 90 kilos. I'm just going to wrap it out and see how many we get, and then for the second set we'll go slightly heavier. So yeah, let's go for it. One more, come on. Fucking hell. I'm barely out now. Oh, it's a hard movement because there's just, you never train it that direction. Obviously it's the opposite direction to a lying leg curl. I'm not trying to get all the way up because we'll lose the tension at the top. So I just want to work in that middle portion of the movement. I don't want to fully extend because there's a lot of tension at the bottom part of that movement, and we don't want to end up in a passive range with the knee locked out. That's real dangerous. So just come into, just until the knee's locked out, just before, and come up to the central point, which is about 90 degrees. So yeah, and because I've not really trained Nordic curls, because it's a very rare piece of kit, I'm weak as fuck. So trying to get strong as fuck at it, you see some big changes in the hamstrings. Some pro level hamstrings. Set number 2, I'm gonna go the same weight again because I did 12 reps last time, so let's see if we can get 10 to 12. Fucking hell. Oh, that's that done. I don't have calves programmed, but I'm just gonna do some calves. Donkey calf raises, hitting that gas squat. Yes. 2 sets. First set will be higher rep, sort of like a 15 to 20. And then second set will be a lateral calves, intensifier set. Just to absolutely spangle the shit out of the calves. So, first set. Oh! Fuck! Oh! Youches. Okay, walk that off. Okay, next set. Slightly lighter weight so I can actually fucking move it. First set, rep out. So about 10 to 12 I'm aiming for. 5 partials, mid to top. 5 partials, bottom to mid. Drop the weight. Same again. Gonna try and get 10 reps out. We'll see if it happens. And then I'm just going for a 10-second hold in contraction, 10-second hold in the midpoint, and a 10-second hold in the stretch. So normals into partials with a drop into holds. It fucking does the trick. Then you get a wacky pump. Guess we'll crack on with it rather than waste any more time. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. Hey. Oh. 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 Oh, me. Come on. Come on. Okay. Oh, oh my days. Oh, it's like a blowtorch. It is. All right, we're finished now. That's that done. All right, over and out. Finito. Mission accomplished.